Range script loaded, you can now press Escape and select either Choose Slot or Choose Coalition Red, and then pick your aircraft. You have chosen to start the mission in the air. Please increase the throttle lever and use trim to level the aircraft. Keep the current heading, as the weapon's range is straight ahead. Maintain 600 to 700 km per hour and 3,000 meters altitude, until you enter the range. Early MiG-21 interceptors mounted the same NR-30 autocannon as the MiG-19, but the MiG-21 bis version mounts the much more modern GSH-23 with 250 rounds of ammunition, and has a rate of fire of around 3,000 rounds per minute. The Gryazev Shipunov GSH-23 was developed by the Soviet Union and entered service in 1965. It is a twin-barreled weapon in which the firing action of one barrel operates the mechanism of the other. Although it cannot match the sustained rate of fire of an electric rotary cannon like the M61 Vulcan, it requires no external power source to operate but is instead powered by the recoiling of the floating barrels. The UPK-23 gun pod was produced on the 1970s by the Soviet Union. Only one gun was mounted on each pod, the twin-barrel GSH-23L autocannon, plus 250 rounds of 23 by 115 mm ammunition. It can be used by the Mi-8 and Mi-24 helicopters, and also by the Su-17, Su-25 and MiG-23 as well. The 23 mm ammunition is effective against infantry, soft-skin vehicles and light armored vehicles. Its maximum range is 2 km, but its optimum fire range is 600 meters. The pod weighs 218 kilograms with ammunition and its length is 3.2 meters. Press space bar to continue. For this training mission, we will use a weapons range near Wadi Abu Rish Air Base, which employs assets created by the 476th Virtual Fighter Group, plus a weapons range script developed by the user Sirabab, which will allow you to gauge your strafing accuracy. To succeed, you will have to strafe 3 gun targets available on the southern side of the range. Perform at least 3 passes over the strafing pits, 1 for each target. You can access the attack statistics calling up the F10 option of the communications menu. You can make as many passes as you want, while you still have ammunition left. Perform the passes on an east to west general direction, so that the mission logic can keep track of them. Press space bar to begin the training. The main element that the MiG-21 pilot uses to deliver its weapons is the ASPP-FD optical sight. As a first step, make sure it has electric power. Its sight power switch should be up. The sight offers 2 different aiming aids, a pipper, which is mostly used for cannon use against non-maneuvering targets, and a fixed net, which is used for bombing and rocket attacks. You can have both active at the same time. Turn them on with the highlighted switches. Adjust their relative brightness as needed, using the highlighted knobs. For this mission, leave the pipper bright and the net dim. Press spacebar once the sight brightness has been adjusted. The sight can be used in 2 main modes, air-to-air, or air-to-ground. For this mission, select air-to-ground mode, by setting the sight master mode switch to its GND down position. The sight operation modes are selected using its left side controls. For gun employment, select gun rocket modes. For aiming the gun, select GN, up. Shooting or bombing modes. For gun employment, select S. Automatic or manual mode. On manual, the pilot must manually set the angular depression knob of the sight, using the marks 0, gun, S5M and S24 for rockets, etc. While on automatic, the sight sets the depression based on which weapon is currently selected. For this mission, select Auto, MSL or Euro mode. MSL renders the pipper cage to the center line of the sight, while Euro has the pipper moving as the ASP attempts to predict the target position, and is used only for air-to-air weapons against non-maneuvering targets. For air-to-ground use of the gun, select MSL. The MiG-21 radar can be used as a ranging sensor to help the sight to provide an accurate shooting cue, measuring the distance from the aircraft to the target. The radar requires a 3 to 5 minutes warm-up period, and it has cooling restrictions that limit its use to 35 to 40 minutes while in standby mode, and only 20 to 25 minutes when fully active, so keep it off for as long as possible. As we are near our weapon's range sight, set it to standby now, middle position, and to on, up, once we begin our practice attack. Enable the ranging mode by selecting locked beam on the highlighted switch. When used for ranging, no other radar option needs to be set. To be able to use the internal gun, turn on its power switch. Although the gun itself is now electrically powered, you still won't be able to fire it, because you also need to load the first ammunition round into each gun chamber. This is accomplished by activating one of the 3 cannon pyrotechnic cartridges, pressing one of the gun load-reload buttons. Do it now, press the highlighted reload button. When you press the button, a distinctive sound of metal pounding was heard, along with the explosion sound of one pyro cartridge. Once the gun is loaded and ready, the gun-armed green light illuminates. If the gun ever jams while firing, the green light will go off. You can attempt to unjam the gun by pressing one of the remaining reload buttons. Also, note that a safety interlock prevents gun firing when the landing gear is extended. The green light will also go off once all the ammunition is depleted. The internal gun bay has a 250 rounds capacity, and as the rate of fire is around 3,000 rounds per minute, you have just around 12 seconds of ammo available. Fire short bursts to maximize this time. There is no ammunition counter on the cockpit. Press spacebar to continue. Your aircraft is currently mounting 2 UPK-23 gun pods, each holding a GSH-23 cannon identical to the internal gun, and with the same 250 round ammunition capacity. Your ground crew mounted the UPK-23 control panel on the top of the cockpit frame. To be able to use these external guns, turn on its power switch. The highlighted switch allows you to select which guns will fire when you press the trigger. If on the UPK position, the gun pods will fire, while on the GSH-23 position, the internal gun will fire. It is not possible to fire all 3 guns at the same time. For this mission, select the UPK gun pods. In the same way as with the internal gun, you need to load the first ammunition round into each gun chamber. This is accomplished by activating one of the 3 cannon pyrotechnic cartridges, pressing one of the gun reload buttons of this control panel. Do it now, press the highlighted reload button 1. Unfortunately, a simulator bug sometimes leaves button 1 ineffective. If it happens, then just push button 2 or 3. When you press the button, the explosion sound of one pyro cartridge should be heard and the gun status light on the control panel should now be illuminated green. The gun pods have the same 250 rounds capacity as the internal gun, so you have just around 12 seconds of ammo available. However, note that if the internal gun is armed, when the gun pods run out of ammo, the internal gun will automatically be selected, so you don't need to operate the switch manually. For this reason, we suggest starting the attack first with the gun pods and then, once their ammo is depleted, continue the attack with the internal one. Press spacebar to continue. To fire either the internal gun or the external gun pods, you press the gun trigger on the flight stick. To prevent accidental fire, the trigger has a safety mechanism with 2 positions. Up, the trigger is safe and the gun will not fire if it is pressed. The red safety catch is visible. Down, the trigger is armed and ready to fire, the red catch is not visible. Pulled, on the real aircraft, the trigger can be pulled when the safety catch is on its lower position. On DCS, your HOTA's trigger button is usually binded to fire the gun, while the trigger safety lock is handled with a keyboard binding, by default the right shift plus dot keys. The DCS developer has implemented a small cheat, where the safety catch is automatically moved to armed when you press one of the gun reload buttons, and it remains on that position until you manually safe it using the key bind. This allows most users to just forget about this safety catch and simplifies their HOTA's bindings. We have finished our examination of all the different weapon elements. Press spacebar to continue onto the practice section of the training. The weapons range is in front of us. The gun strafing pits are at the southern side of the range. Select one of the 3 available pits and align to make a pass over it. Remember to take the radar out of standby and turn it on. Wait until the message rolling in on gun targets appears, and then initiate your gun attack. Perform the attack dive. The pipper will come up once you are in range. Fire when it's 600 meters distance, by pressing the stick's trigger. First strafing pass done. Turn right, to go back around and perform another pass. Try to hit a different target, if possible. Start climbing back to at least 2,000 meters AGL. We are far enough, turn right to go back towards the gun targets. Second strafing pass done. Turn right and back around, and perform another pass. Start climbing back to at least 2,000 meters AGL. We are far enough, turn right to go back towards the gun targets. Third pass. Turn right and back around, to perform another pass. Start climbing back to at least 2,000 meters AGL. We are far enough, turn right to go back towards the gun targets. Fourth pass. If you still have ammunition, turn right and back around, to perform another pass over the targets. Else, turn left towards the northeast, to return to the airbase. Start climbing back to at least 2,000 meters AGL. We are far enough, turn right to go back towards the gun targets. Good pass. If out of ammo, turn left towards the northeast, to return to the airbase. Else, you may attempt another strafing pass. Start climbing back to at least 2,000 meters AGL. Start climbing back to at least 2,000 meters AGL. We are far enough, turn right to go back towards the gun targets. Start climbing back to at least 2,000 meters AGL. Start climbing back to at least 2000 meters AGL. Start climbing back to at least 2000 meters AGL. We are far enough, turn right to go back towards the gun targets. Deactivate the armament. For the gun it is a very short procedure. First, set the gun trigger to safe, with the keys right shift plus dot, the red lock on the stick should be visible. On DCS there is another small cheat, which automatically sets the trigger to safe when out of ammo, so this procedure step isn't really needed. 2. Set the radar to off, to preserve its refrigerant supply. Good, this completes the armament safe procedure. You can check your range results by calling up the communications menu. Select F10, Other, then select F1, Range, finally, click F1, My Strafing Results. You have completed the main subject of this training mission. Select. Press spacebar if you want to fly back and land at our airbase, or press backspace to end the training now.